All right, so we might as well go ahead and get started. All right, so hoping you can all see and hear me all right. I'm Professor O'Hara. I'm going to be teaching this class. Eric Remy is also on this call with us. Eric is the Director of Instructional Technology Services. He's kind of supporting us to help us get through a few things. So today, basically, the goal is kind of to test drive the technology a little bit, see how it feels to talk on here, see how it works to share files, um, things like that. This is something we'll do, about once a week during the class. A lot of the rest of the class will be sort of asynchronous things. There will be writing assignments, there will be text chat, um, there will be video lectures to watch or readings to read, and projects, responses, things like that. But we will get together about once a week to discuss various aspects of the course, sometimes a specific reading, sometimes a group of readings, um, and things like that. So why don't we go ahead and start just with some quick introductions. As I said, I'm Professor O'Hara. I just finished up my first year teaching here at Gettysburg College in the Sunderman Conservatory. I teach classes in music theory and then also video game music. So this is my second time sort of doing this class in this format. First time in this actual format online. So let's see. If I sort of the way I see people on my screen, I see Haley first. So maybe Haley, you can start us off by introducing yourself.
Well, uh, my name's Haley. I'm a first year. I genuinely am not really sure how to do,
Oh,
the skyscraper,
sort of
but
major, hometown, just kind of basics. So you're just finishing up your first year then. Great.
yeah, just
Mhm.
finishing up my first year. I don't have a declared major yet. I'll probably
Cool.
declare philosophy in the fall. I'm hanging out in a very rainy town in Northern Virginia, just outside
Excellent.
DC.
Great. Let's see. So Hank, are you there? I see that you're having problems in the chat. Okay. There we go. So Hank can introduce himself in text form. Yeah, there we go.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Hank. I'm sorry I don't have a webcam on this thing, but a laptop couldn't run any of this. Uh, I'm also first year. I'm thinking of either doing history or anthropology, but I'm also a big band nerd, I guess. And I love video games. Also passionate about music and video games. So, oh yeah, this is also a headset microphone attached to a random cord that I found. So I have to
Mhm.
eat the mic kind of. So sorry about that. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, that was.
Great. Katrina.
Hi, I'm Katrina. I just finished my junior year. Um, I'm a math econ major, and I'm still in Gettysburg right now at
Nice.
Philcross for the next couple
Cool. Yeah,
weeks.
you're in the playoffs, right? Excellent. Cool. Good luck as it goes forwards. When's the next game? Saturday. Nice. Good luck.
Saturday.
Let's see. Do you go by Bill or Will or William Valentine? Will. Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
I'll go by
So,
Will. So I'm finishing up my sophomore year. I'm a health science major, and I'm also from Northern Virginia as well, so it's raining pretty hard
cool.
here.
All right. So one thing to solve is how I see people here. Ryan, are you on? I see Ryan logged in, but I can't see his video. All right, so if I just skim through the rest of the names up here, Haley, Hank. Okay, so that's everybody who's online for now. I know we're missing a few people, some of them due to work. So we might as well go ahead and get started. As you know, this is a relatively new thing that Gettysburg is doing. This is maybe the third year that they've offered sort of hybrid online courses, online versions of classes that are taught regularly during the school year. And one of the big goals is really kind of information gathering, figuring out how this works, building some institutional knowledge, seeing what works and what doesn't. So we're going to be doing, various kinds of activities to try to recreate as best we can the on-campus experience, or at least the amount of work and amount of learning and communication that we would have online or on campus in an online form. So we'll be doing a lot of different things throughout the course of our sort of 5.5-week term. Hopefully this is a useful and interesting and educational experience for everybody, both in terms of learning about video game music and in terms of the format that we're going to be working with. So I want to test drive a couple of the features here on real-time board. So first of all, I'm going to try to throw a PDF of the syllabus online. If you give me just a moment. Okay. So just as a little bit of background, real-time board is this collaboration software, and the centerpiece is this sort of gray-white grid that you see behind you that you can do various things on. You can put the sticky notes, as you can see, and right now I'm uploading a PDF. So you should be able to control your own view to some degree, scroll around the board, see things. You can turn the chat on and off, things like that. All right, I've just dropped this PDF in here just to kind of page through. Let's see, yeah, looks like we can resize it. Yeah, let's see. So I'll send actual copies out of this, and you'll have access to the Moodle page soon. But for right now, I just want to test out how this works a bit. I'll make it a little bit bigger, and then
Bill, one thing I did note, you might have to tell people that they have to switch pages. It wasn't clear to me when I was playing with Paul yesterday whether the pages sync up.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, that was the first thing I was going to attempt.
If you click on the PDF itself, you'll get a little menu above it or below it, depending on where it's posted, that will have a thing that says 1 of 7. Just click the left or right arrows. There's also
nice. I see that. Yeah, the download link is useful. So I've just clicked to change the page, and it's loading. So did the page change for everybody, or do you all see the PDF independently? Okay, cool. That's good.
Changed for me, so I'm guessing no. So you might have to have them just click on it, and, as I said, and page.
Okay, sounds good. So let's all, if you all click on the PDF that should be in the center of your board, let's go ahead to, I believe it's page 4. All right, so page 4 just gives us a quick overview of the way that the course goes. So As I said, the course is roughly 5.5 weeks. If you get to the end, you'll see that basically I added a couple of days on to the end because the 4th of July falls in our last week of class. I don't expect you to work on the 4th of July, which is a Wednesday, and I definitely understand that people might be traveling, people might be doing various things with family or friends. So the extra days kind of allow everybody to take a little bit of time off during the 5th week of the class. So you can kind of get an idea of the format, and let's test this out. I'm going to attempt to draw on the PDF on page 4, but that might just draw on my own screen. So if you look, for example, at one of these units, you'll see that there's a list of a couple of readings, and then usually an assignment, and there will also very frequently be a video or two to watch, sort of video lectures that either are reinforcing or going over the readings, sometimes adding context, sometimes supplementing, giving other information besides the readings. So basically each week has 3 units. They're sort of roughly chronological, but not necessarily. So if you can work through a lot of the material at your own pace. You can watch lecture videos, you can read the PDFs, or sometimes the readings are online. There are a couple of documentaries that we'll watch. You can watch those at your own pace. You can do the short writing assignments at your own pace. And then the 2 sort of interactive aspects of the course will be that we'll have one weekly video chat, which, as you can see, there's sort of an asterisk on some of the units to show which unit we'll be focusing on. Usually these are meant to be sort of more discussion-based, more exploratory, kind of to exchange ideas and things like that, rather than just the fact-based units that are in here as well. We'll have one of those, and then I also will be selecting sort of one topic or one article to have sort of a group text chat about. We'll use Discord for that. And that'll be just sort of, everybody responds and has a conversation in text form that can unfold over a couple of days or the whole week. So basically it'll be a lot of asynchronous watching videos, doing various writing or media assignments, and then 2 sort of interactive things, one of them in person on video chat and one of them in text form asynchronously. So in general, I will be setting things up on the Moodle site so that you can work through at your own pace with all of that week's work being due at the end of the week. I think I've set the assignment times for sort of like early Saturday morning, with the idea that you're doing them Friday night with a little bit of wiggle room. You'll kind of work through each week's assignments at that pace and get things in by the end of the week. Occasionally there's something that kind of has to be done first. So sometimes I've set, this unit 1.1 needs to be done by Wednesday or Thursday, just to kind of force you to work a little bit in sequence. But the written work is generally at your own pace. You can sort of work, really hard, work ahead Sunday, Monday, Tuesday if you want to. You can space it out throughout the week. You can try to get everything done Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'd recommend spacing it out, but I understand that everybody is going to have a different schedule. Some of you are working. There's at least one person who's taking 2 summer courses. So it's kind of designed to be as flexible as possible. Let's see, are there any questions so far? Okay, get no response. So let's go ahead and do a couple of other things. So first of all, I want to experiment with, let's see if I I can't. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. I'm going to scroll over to the right. I'm going to try uploading another file. These types of files behave. Let's see how this looks. Whoa, that showed up really big for me. Let's zoom out a little bit. So this is just a JPEG. This is a magazine ad from something that comes up maybe in the second week of the class. As we're doing sort of the history of game sound, there's this interesting chapter in the 1980s of band and musician themed games. You know, Michael Jackson gets his own game, and in this case, the band Journey gets their own game. So since this is a JPEG, there should be no pages to turn or anything like that. So hopefully we should be able to see things that I draw. So for example, down here in the right is what the box art looks like, and it's actually tied to a Journey album that came out at the same time in the early 80s called Escape. It sort of has this spaceship over here that's blasting off of a planet. So can everybody see the annotations on there? Okay, good. So that part's working. Sure.
One quick note, by the way, if your screen is starting to get a little bit crowded, the lower right-hand corner has a control where you can slide around or zoom in and out. So if you, like, for example, if you can't fit everything on your screen, you can sort of zoom in, move around, and all the rest, so that you can see the things. Because it's quite possible, depending on the screen size, that your professor might put up something
Eric.
that's halfway off yours, so you can go ahead and slide around. And
cool. So annotating JPEGs seems to work just fine. I want to try next sort of a second attempt to annotate a PDF, but I want to try, let's see. I want to see what happens if I turn on screen sharing. All right, I think I'm back. All right, can everyone hear me again? Awesome, good. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so that's learned something about how the screen sharing works or doesn't work. Yeah, so after I tried to share my screen, not only could you not see me, but I couldn't get back into the chat. So I'll have to work around that. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that the last sort of media test I wanted to do is testing out a YouTube video. So I've dropped the Journey video in the middle of the screen. Everybody can see that, right? And I now see also that the PDF, when the PDF gets moved, the circular annotation on it moves. So I'm curious to see, I'm going to hit play on the YouTube video. Let it load for a moment. All right. So I've just started the video. It's doing this test pattern thing. Can people see the video? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Is it playing for everyone, or is this also asynchronous? Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Cool. So that
I
means...
think that might be independent as well, Bill.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Yeah, and unless I'm mistaken, there is no audio in this video for like the first 5 minutes.
All right. Okay, good to know. So that's something else to work around. I've got a lot of videos that I'll sort of embed in teaching videos or post separately, but it's good to know that the live chat is sort of for basically for video chat rather than for sharing media like that. All right, so video's gone. Okay, so that sort of wraps up the things that I wanted to test drive in terms of sharing files, letting people have them. So I guess the takeaway is a bit that you kind of have freedom over the files that I give you. So if I give you a PDF on here, you can kind of page through it yourself, or I can direct people where to go. Let's see. I see the chat has been active here. Okay. Yeah, I've got issues with the video chat as well, that I can only see a few people. I can only see 4 of you in a column right now. Okay. So the other main thing that I want to do is to try and figure out the meeting times. As I say in the syllabus, some of us, the people who have responded to my prompt from a week or 2 ago, some of us have conflicting schedules. So it seems that we might have sort of, you know, A team and B team, or that's not a right way to say it, red team and blue team, sort of 2 separate video chat sessions with smaller groups of people during the week. So it seems like, again, the best way to figure out the video schedule is to do a sort of doodle poll email thing, since only about half of us are here right now. So we will take care of that separately. I'm trying to think. That's sort of getting to the end of my initial agenda, kind of seeing how real-time board works with a group of people, talking a bit about the class. Are there any questions or thoughts or anything that I can help? Or Eric, do you have any comments or you know, things you've learned from meeting with some of the other classes in the past week?
The one thing I would say to the folks, realize that there is a bit of a delay. You've probably noticed that sometimes the audio won't sync up properly with the person speaking. In general, because when you're talking, it takes roughly a half a second to get to the server and then half a second to get to you. When somebody stops talking, it means that they probably stopped talking like a second ago. So for you, if you're speaking, it's going to seem a little alien because you're not going to hear anything. So somebody will just sort of stop and then there'll be silence, and it's going to sound a little awkward at first. For the other people, they'll hear you start or stop talking. They'll start talking immediately. But of course, because there's that weird delay, sometimes you'll end up talking over each other. If you have a question that you really want to ask, instead of trying to break in and sort of break up that second long thing it takes a while to do, it might be easiest to put it on a post-it note or stick it in the chat window or something like that, rather than try to ask it vocally, unless there's some reason you absolutely have to break in immediately. When you're having a discussion, obviously you don't have to work that out. The other thing I would say on the board itself, the board is permanent. And again, using the little control in the lower right, you can slide it around anywhere you want. It also works by shift middle button on your mouse. So you can move it to a new screen and post stuff up there. If you want to put some like questions or something like that ahead of time, or if you're meeting with like a group.
Okay, cool. 1 or 2 other things that I've noticed. So for example, number 1, if you go to the top right, if you go to the settings, this menu that's next to the little person in the academic hat, the lines or the circles. It's possible to turn on and off various settings, and one of the ones you might want to look at is the collaborators' cursors. You'll notice the screen is really busy with everybody's mouse if you haven't turned this off, so it's sometimes a good idea to turn off collaborators' cursors. That makes it a little bit less busy. You also, if you click on navigation mode, you can go to this mode where you can drag, you can set your preferences if you want to sort of be able to move the board separately, you know, with 2 fingers on my setting, or various controls depending on what type of computer you're on, that will let you work with the board in different ways. Let's see, now I can't get out of that. Another thing to know is that there are Windows and Mac and mobile app versions of this. So I know a couple people, Ryan, I have seen you in the chat that you've had some trouble with the website itself. It's possible to download the real-time board application onto your computer. That might be a little bit more stable. You know, if you're having bandwidth issues, that probably still won't fix it, but it might make it a little bit more smooth, and it might be a solution for, you know, someone like Ryan where the computer was blocking the site for some reason. So if you want to look into that, that's on the Real-Time Board website. You can download it for Mac or Windows, or you can put the app on your phone. All right. So if that's sort of the last thing I have as far as technical aspects, so I want to go back to the syllabus that I posted and just talk just a bit more. I want to draw attention to the projects. So that's sort of the last big aspect that I'll highlight. As I said, there are weekly assignments, roughly 1 or 2 sort of thematic assignments that go along with or reinforce some aspect of the readings or the lecture videos or other aspects of the class. Along with this, there's an online, somebody's drawing a Pokeball in the middle, nice. Along with this, there's the gaming log, which you'll find, I think it's on probably page, it might be earlier, maybe page 3. If you page through this, 2 or 3, you'll find that one of the things to do is kind of an ongoing log of your own play. This is very open-ended, but it's the aspect of this class for which, you know, literally your homework is to play some video games and kind of reflect on them. So the way that I adapted this from the on-campus course where they had to do 10 entries is that you have to do 5 entries, 1 per week, about a play session. I've set up the requirement right now that one of these has to be a mobile or a browser game, just to kind of switch things up. Then the other 4 entries are 2 different games of your own choice, any genre, any kind of, you know, new, old, any type of game, but just kind of to get people playing and exploring a little bit independently. You could choose to write about the same game a couple of times, or you could choose to write about, you know, 4 or 5 different course of your gaming logs. But that's kind of intended to, you know, let you explore a little bit, let you reflect on the games or the aspects of the course that are interesting to you, and do that as part of the coursework. And it's also designed to let you, if you want, kind of build up to the midterm or the final project. So the midterm quote-unquote project is a short essay. There's some information here on this page of the syllabus about this guy Dan Cohen, who talks about the blessé form, which is sort of like a less formal academic essay conducted online, usually using links, using media, things like that. I've put in here about a 1,000-word essay about some kind of an artifact, very broadly construed. I've got a video sort of demonstrating this where I'm going to highlight some things in an old game instruction manual that kind of give you some information about the context, about the marketing of the game, kind of talk about all the things beyond the game that they're trying to throw in here. So I'll have that as a model for you, but the idea is that you'll write your midterm assignment as a slightly longer writing response about a specific artifact from the history of gaming, from the origins to now. You know, you could write about a Guitar Hero controller, you could write about a game manual, you could write about, you know, a magazine ad, or a particular game, or a physical aspect like an arcade cabinet or a system or something like that. It's very open-ended, but it's designed to kind of get you writing a form of game history that centers on specific objects and items. And there's a link in the syllabus to the Video Game History Foundation that provides kind of a couple of models for that. There's an essay on there about the first video game TV commercial for sort of a early home video game system, and all the things that you can read out of that and what you can learn from it. So that's kind of the midterm project. And then the final project, which you can start thinking about at any time, can take a couple of forms. I think I asked that by the end of the third week you have to sort of decide what your final will look like. You can write a traditional academic essay, a research paper, about some kind of historical or theoretical topic of your choice. Or you can do some sort of creative project. In the on-campus version of the class, I've had people who have composed and recorded music. I had people who made videos. I had a couple of people who are interested in game development of various kinds work on, you know, sort of demos of games. So the final project can take either, you know, a traditional academic essay type format, or it can be something multimedia based that that goes along with your interests. So one of my biggest goals when I teach a course like this is that everybody in the class can find the things that are interesting to them, that are relevant to them, either because of what they enjoy, as you know, hobby-wise, or what is relevant to their academic interests. If you're, you know, computer science major, if you're a math major, if you're a marketing major, philosophy major, just to list some of the things that that I heard, you can definitely find aspects of this course that you can tailor towards your own academic interests. And I really encourage you to pursue that for the midterm project and the final project. So that can take sort of any format that you like. I'm also open to collaboration on the final project. Midterm should be a written essay on your own, but if you want to work, you know, two of you together, we can kind of talk about that. If you have either similar interests or a, you know, friend in the class that you want to work with, I'm open to collaborative final projects. You will produce something that's more substantial because there are two of you, but I'm totally open to, and I encourage collaboration, particularly if you're doing something less traditional. But that's sort of my overview. So the class, as you see on the schedule, starts June 4th, the first full week of June. So everybody has sort of the rest of this week, next week, and the week after off. You know, the rest of May, basically, before we really get started. I'll see exactly what's going on the Moodle site. I've begun building it, but currently there are no members. So at some point you will have access to that if you'd like to start reading a little bit early or working on things. But the class will basically start in earnest June 4th with some introductory units on the basics of music, kind of the overview of the field of the academic study of video games. As you'll find, what we call ludomusicology, which is from the Latin word for game, ludus. Ludomusicology is a very, very young discipline. That word was coined about 10 years ago when people started to take an academic interest in games. There's this book by Karen Collins called Game Sound that is sort of pointed to as the origin point of the field, but that was only in 2008. The first national conference on video games in America was in 2014. So it's really a very young field, and so we can get a pretty good overview of where the academic study of video games is, and that's something else that we'll do in the first week. And then finally, we'll look at some case studies and do some close readings of games and sound design and music and things like that. So that'll be the first week of the class, and that'll happen at the beginning of June. So if there are no issues or questions or anything like that to talk about, I think we're just about done with this meeting, and I will follow up with an email about actually going ahead and scheduling the video conference weeks. As I said, we'll kind of have one per week. One other cool thing that's in the syllabus is that we actually have a Gettysburg alum, someone who majored in music and is now a music historian teaching at the University of Hartford, and she researches video game music. So she's written an article on the Music of the Civilization series that we're going to read around week 3, and we're going to have a special extra video chat where we will connect with her and have her kind of talk about her work and where she's gone after graduating from Gettysburg a decade ago. So that'll be kind of a special video chat. As I said, we may have a variable schedule or a daytime and a nighttime chat, but hopefully we can get everybody together for that one special occasion chat somewhere in the middle of the class. I've put it in week 3. If we have to chat with her a little before or a little bit after, we can certainly do that. But that's sort of the shape of things. So are there any questions? You can sort of raise your hand or speak up or write something in the chat, as Eric said. Okay. So I think, oh yeah. Yeah, so Hank, I must not have heard you. I'm gonna see about the access to the Moodle site because I've already uploaded all of the readings. And I'll get a couple of other things up there. You won't have lecture videos, however, until closer to the class. So there will be some things that you can start to work on if you want to read ahead. If you want to start thinking about an artifact, an object to research. This is construed very broadly, by the way. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be virtual. A website can be an artifact. A PDF of a game manual can be an artifact, etc. If you want to start thinking about midterm or final projects, that's something concretely that you can do. Or I'll be in touch very soon about getting access to PDF readings for the class if you'd like to get a little bit of a head start. No problem. All right. So any other questions? All right, let's see. Okay, cool. So Owen is here as well. Owen, are you on the video chat at all? Yeah, so I've got a question in the chat from Ryan. You mentioned trackers. Yes. So there will be an assignment that's relatively open-ended in the last week of the class. The last week of the class is about chiptune music and fan culture and things like that. And one of the assignments you'll do is that you can choose to compose a piece of music, or you can sort of analyze a YouTube video or a fan cover of a piece of video game music. So that's a flexible assignment. Ryan asks, I mentioned trackers. So a tracker is a music composition program that's either made directly for, in its original form, a video game system, or it's made to imitate a video game system. So trackers work a little bit differently than the typical music programs like GarageBand or a music notation program or some kind of music production thing. we will look actually at the program that some of the chiptune musicians use in a documentary that we'll watch. There's a program called Little Sound DJ that is actually sort of third-party software for the original Game Boy from the late 80s, and we'll see how it originally came on cartridges, but you can get the ROM and use it on your computer. So I'll have some demo sessions with Little Sound DJ, and we'll work with it a little bit. I'll kind of give you a couple of little things to do with it, and if you'd like, you can take that a little bit further and do a composition as one of your final short assignments for this class. And I'll point you towards some other resources and things like that. But trackers are a really interesting thing because they're kind of born out of video games and video game systems, and they have a unique way of looking at music. So I'm going to throw it in the chat here if you'd like to look at that as well. Little sound, maybe? Oh. Won't let me type into the chat. But Little Sound DJ is what it's called. There we go. It's showing up here. There we go. All right. Any other thoughts or questions? Cool. So one last thing, I will next send out in my next email an invitation to the Discord channel. I've sent friend requests to those of you who have sent me your Discord name. If you haven't done that, go ahead and create your account. Send me your username. Discord has both a username thing, and then everybody has a 4-digit code, so that your Discord username is actually like mine, William Evan O'Hara, then $, whatever, 4-digit number, 4095 in my case. So that's actually your full username. It's John Doe number 1234. So once I have that from everybody, that'll keep us connected on Discord. All right. So if there's nothing else, I think we're all set with this sort of initial meeting. The other thing I've been doing is I've been screen recording this also as an experiment to see kind of how one of these comes out. I hope that hasn't slowed us down too much. But I'll have this for reference for the people who weren't able to be here on a YouTube channel where you'll eventually find all of the lecture videos for the class. All right, well, it's been good to virtually meet some of you. I hope to reconnect with everybody in the coming weeks, and then spend a lot more time with you once June gets started. So thanks everybody for signing on, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'll talk to everyone soon.